great Bobby Belt.
You ruined the morning show.
Don't make me take off my belt.
Don't make me take off my belt.
We're not.
Over to you, Bobby.
From the haves to the have-nots.
Uh-oh.
We are doing the roster inventory, the breakdown of all the different positions leading up to training camp, our departure in Oxnard, which is we leave a week from tomorrow, right? And
Yes.
our first show will be out there on Thursday. So we did the quarterbacks yesterday, just kind of a reset of where the position is. And we talked about how the Cowboys have 25% of their cap this year committed to the quarterback position, which is the most in the NFL. And now we go to the running back position, which I haven't been able to sort every team at this point, but pretty positive the Cowboys would have the fewest amount of resources committed to running back. It is really tough. Rico Dowdle, who very well could be the Cowboys starting running back this season.
Which most times RJ would be applauding.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be applauding having the least amount of resources.
I mean, I am, but,
yeah, there's a but.
This is a little low.
It's pretty low. Saquon Barkley, for instance, is going to make $4 million more this season than the entire Cowboys running back room combined.
I'm so freaking sick of hearing about Saquon Barkley. It's starting to make me root for the Giants a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to do. I'm starting to root for the Giants with this whole offseason is Saquon, inspiration, motivation. When is Hard Knocks on?
So Hard Knocks it's in the middle of Hard Knocks right now.
What night?
I don't know. We had a Tolo.
Are we not playing clips?
We've played clips from like whenever there's been one that goes viral, but I mean we haven't like played full segments of. But
somebody Monday or Tuesday of the football season.
Somebody had tweeted. I always just catch it on the HBO DVR. Somebody had tweeted to us yesterday.
During
Tolo,
the football season,
like during
when it's the
camp.
in season.
It's on like Monday or Tuesday during training camp.
Giants Hard Knocks is airing right now.
Yeah. I'm saying I assume it's the same day that it would be during the regular season.
So
I thought you guys would. I thought you would have been following it.
No, we were. We were playing clips from it, but we had we played like Brian Dable doing the 40-yard dash and stuff like that. That's something that we got yesterday from a listener though. Somebody had tweeted at us and said, like, it's to me and brought us, they're like, I'm liking Brian Dable now.
Ooh.
Like, I don't like this. Because you remember Saleh, I feel like, came off really unlikable personally. I thought he was when he came out of the Jets. He just came off as phony to me. And Dable apparently has come off as just relatable. He's doing image repair from last year. But Rico Dowdle, even if he's not the starting running back, will probably be splitting half the carries roughly or taking the majority of them potentially. If he were to play on his current salary, how many games would he have to play to reach Dak Prescott's 2024 base salary of $29 million?
We don't have enough time to calculate that.
393 games is what Rico Dowdle would have to play to get to Dak Prescott's 2024 money.
Jeez.
This is what the Cowboys have spent at the position so far. Only technically a 2016 first-round pick because Zeke departed and came back, so you can only kind of count that one since he's on his second term here. But other than that, it's a 2023 sixth-round pick. It's Deuce Vaughn. That's the only guy that they have drafted and had a continuous stop here out of the 8 running backs they currently have on the roster. Nobody is making more than Ezekiel Elliott's $2 million, and all but 3 of the running backs are making under $1 million right now. And so it is a pretty broke position. Altogether, it's $8.9 million is what the Cowboys running back room costs them right now. Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott, those are the 2 that are in the forefront, in the lead for the running back position. And then you've got veterans they brought in like Snoop Connor, Royce Freeman, who had a strong close to the season for the Rams. And they're still trying to figure out Deuce Vaughn, Malik Davis, Nathaniel Pete, who we'll talk about here in a second. But it has become, the analogy I've made is, this is very similar to me to what they did with receiver in 2018. When they walked away from Dez, which not to say that Dez should have stayed here. They made the early decision, saw it in advance, walked away from the decline.
Dez was done.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me how many Cowboy fans fight that.
Refused to admit that his foot just got botched and he was terrible.
I mean, just they got ahead of the decline. They did what the Patriots have done typically throughout the years. But the problem was that they entered that 2018 season doing the wide receiver by committee approach. As a reminder, week 1 of that season, Dallas started with Terrence Williams and Deontay Thompson as their starting wide receivers. And then behind them, subbing into the game, were Allen Hurns, a rookie Michael Gallup, Tavon Austin, and Cole Beasley.
You can get away with that with a great quarterback.
You can. Yeah. Just ask the Chiefs.
They had, through 7 weeks of the season, their top 3 leading receivers were Jeff Swaim, Ezekiel Elliott, and Cole Beasley, who combined were averaging 9 yards per reception. Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
They make the decision, we got to go out and get Amari Cooper. I think they're going to end up doing the same thing here with the running back position. They're going to have to mid-season, maybe they come to that realization during training camp, but they're going to have to say, we've got to make a deal. It doesn't have to be an Amari Cooper deal, but we've got to go out there and look for who has a surplus and who might be willing to deal us a running back that can contribute here.
Okay, so because I'm surprised by this, by you, because you seem to be a smart individual.
Me?
No, Bob. Well, you are, but
No,
Bobby.
thank you.
You are. He says, I seem to
Yeah,
be.
you seem to be. Because you know that running backs are generally like as good as the offensive lines in front of them.
Right.
So if that's the case, this is a bad offensive line. If it's a bad offensive line, then you're cooked either way. Now, that's short of getting Barry Sanders in his prime out here.
Happy birthday, Barry Sanders,
Who,
apparently.
yes, happy birthday. Who can go out there and,
Greatest running back of his era.
turn
Of all time.
chicken S into chicken salad, then that's one thing. But if the offensive line is going to create holes, any of these guys except for Zeke can hit the hole. Zeke's just too slow. The hole will be closed up by then. But Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, they can get to the hole if it's there.
Surely, but surely you don't think it's 100. Like if you were to divide up the responsibility of a successful running game, you don't think it's 100% the offensive line, 0% the running back.
No,
it's majority. I would say 75-25.
Yeah,
75-25 is roughly what I think. The problem is there's not really any juice in this backfield to create outside of what the run blocking was. So that 25% that the running backs themselves are usually responsible for, you don't have a lot of personnel that can fit contributing to that 25%. I think Rico Dowdle's a really good player. He's also been hurt pretty consistently throughout his career. Hard to see him taking on a full-time load or even a split carry load and not getting hurt this year.
What do you think is their thought process with this?
I think they've just had a complete...
You can have a complete philosophical change and still get a third or fourth round talent. Now, I know what they'll say. Like, we weren't opposed to drafting of running back in the fourth. The board just didn't line up that way. But,
Right.
you can have a shift without having maybe any talent in there. This is going, barren.
It's very barren.
I think what happened was they had anticipated the whole time they were going to draft a running back in like the fourth round. And then I think a run hit that they weren't anticipating. And unlike them typically, the way they treat free agency usually is, let's just cover our bases so in case things don't fall our way, we're good. They didn't do that.
Well, there are also maybe cuts, during camp. There will be cuts.
There will be.
Sure.
And they're like, we're just going to scour the waiver wire and pick someone up.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking for trade candidates, if you're trying to say who are some names that they could potentially go after, the two easiest places to look are going to be Miami and San Francisco, because Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan, two guys there who have thrown tons of like third and fourth round picks, or in San Francisco's case, they've got the highest paid running back in the NFL, but they throw a ton of resources at the running back position, just a bunch of darts, and then they have a committee approach essentially. So Miami is Jeff Wilson, who has been decent for the 49ers in the past, Miami, UNT grad. Do the Dolphins say, we've got three running backs that are capable. It doesn't make sense to have a fourth. Let's see if we can get something at the end of training camp.
I'd take Jeff Wilson.
Jordan Mason in San Francisco, or Elijah Mitchell, whichever one of those has fallen out of favor. Elijah Mitchell is not playing nearly as well as he did when he signed his contract. He's started to have some struggles. I think he averaged like 3 yards per carry. Miles Sanders is third on the depth chart in Carolina right now, and they feel like, man, we missed on that one. Do you try and reclaim the Miles Sanders
If you
project?
trade for him, you're trading for his contract too, right? I mean, like that's
You are trading for basically on the cap hit anything that is still due in terms of guaranteed money. But like that's basically, so you're not going to get the full cap hit, but you'll end up splitting whatever it is. I do think that ultimately they're going to keep. I do think that they're going to keep 4 running backs in this one right now. Broadus and I were talking about this yesterday. Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Lipke, Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott are probably the favorites. Royce Freeman's got an outside chance to really push for a roster spot. But the name that if you're looking for one to watch during training camp, you know how we always get the undrafted free agent story who is making all these plays at camp and goodness, we can't cut
which
him.
I fell for last year.
Well, he was drafted though. He was a
Barely.
stud. Yeah, I know. Barely. Nathaniel Pete is definitively outside the roster right now. He's not even on the bubble. He's outside the roster, but he's an undrafted free agent out of Missouri. lot of intriguing traits that nobody else in the running back room has right now. So he signed with the Cowboys after the draft, started his career at Stanford, transferred to Missouri, played there. He has receiving ability. When he was at Stanford, he led the Pac-12 in kickoff return yards, and he's quite literally a track star. He was named All-State 3 times in track in high school. He won the 100 meters, the state 100 meters in high school. Both of his parents were star track runners at University of Washington. But his numbers are unlike anything else you have in the Cowboys running back room in terms of what he put up athletically. At his pro day in the spring, his 40-yard dash was 4.37. His vertical was 41 inches. His broad jump was 10 feet, 8 inches. No one else in the running back room even compares to those numbers. And so you're talking about a guy who was a pretty strong recruit coming out of high school, went to a big program like Stanford, transferred back to Missouri to be closer to home, but played in big programs, has experience there, did not get the tires run off of him while he was in college, didn't have like a huge workload, and has an athleticism and a burst that they just do not have in the running back room right now. So Nathaniel Pete is one that if you're looking for a dark horse to follow along with during training camp, he's going to be somebody who I think people are going to see highlight reel plays of when we're out there in camp.